wheel. But as we were watching this storm, it has gone a little bit north of west over the last 2 to 3 hours. The general trend has been toward the west at 16 miles an hour, centered latitude 24.2 north and 73.7 west longitude, 425 miles east-southeast of Miami with 155-mile-an-hour winds. Here in Jacksonville, just some gusty northeast winds. Our temperatures in the low 80s between the city and the beaches, in the mid to upper 80s in the inland sections. We topped out at a high of 85 degrees today, both in town and at the beaches. Heat index 91. Northeast winds were blowing these clouds in, and they will be blowing and getting more dense and maybe with some rain by tomorrow afternoon as we see Hurricane Floyd getting closer to the coast, trying to turn around this ridge of high pressure in response to that cold front that is advancing across the Ohio River Valley and be moving into northern Georgia by Wednesday. Now, it's on Wednesday that we think the storm, which was moving toward South Florida, will take that turn toward the north. The question is, how close will it be to the coast on Wednesday when our conditions will deteriorate rapidly? Increasing winds and waves tomorrow, northeast winds 25 to 35 miles an hour, seas increasing to 8 to 12 feet, high tide 12:30 in the midday hour, the low tide at 6 o'clock in the morning with a hurricane warning in effect. Our forecast is for increasing winds, shower becoming more frequent during the afternoon and evening. Northeast winds averaging 30 miles per hour by afternoon, high temperature of 87 degrees, and it looks like we're in for a very rough Wednesday. Depending on how close Floyd is, there may be winds gusting over hurricane force, particularly at the beaches.
George, thank you. We are grateful that you're here with us, and will keep us up to date every quarter hour throughout the evening.
Thank you very much, Deb.
Okay.
Tom?
Thank you, George. One more time, we want to repeat, Mayor Delaney has ordered an evacuation for people who have special needs who live at the local beaches. Those residents at the beaches who do not have special needs, and for those residents who live in low-lying areas, a decision on an evacuation for them will be made tomorrow morning on whether or not they need to head for higher ground. To get the latest information on the storm, you can call the News Channel 4 Hurricane Hotline at 393-9878, 393-9878.
And we urge you to stay tuned. We will have updates every quarter hour throughout the time that Hurricane Floyd is a threat to us. So please stay tuned to News Channel 4.
And now stay tuned for Dan Rather. We'll see you a little later.
Thank you for making News Channel 4's Eyewitness News your #1 choice for news.
Hello, I'm Bob Barnes of Barnes, & Cohen. Automobile accident? Call Jacksonville's law firm, Barnes, & Cohen.
A historic hurricane, one of the biggest and most dangerous ever, heads for the states. Monster Hurricane Floyd is bearing down on the southeastern United States coast, sparking fear and evacuations in states all up and down the seaboard. 7 years after Andrew wrecked South Florida, they're preparing for a storm 3 times as big. Panic and suspicion in Moscow after another deadly explosion there. And a sea change here in California. Illegal immigrants come out of the shadows to go to work.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Los Angeles.
Good evening from Southern California. Officially, what could be one of the great, most dangerous hurricanes of the century is blasting toward the east coast of the United States tonight. Intense and immense. Hurricane Floyd now has sustained winds nearing 155 miles an hour, with gusts much higher, some of those gusts approaching 200 miles an hour. It could reach a top-of-the-scale Category 5. That would mean a hurricane officially capable of catastrophic destruction. Tens of thousands of Florida coast residents are under orders to evacuate. Hurricane warnings are posted for all of the mainland Florida East Coast on up to Brunswick, Georgia, as well as the northwest Bahamas tonight. Hurricane watches extend much further up the East Coast. I spoke with our meteorologist, Brian Norcross, at the CBS Hurricane Center in Miami a short while ago to get you the latest on where this extremely dangerous hurricane appears to be headed.
Dan, it is too close to call who's going to get hit first here. Let me show you where our projection takes this. You see the yellow area. Those are our possible future tracks of this huge hurricane, this circulation here, larger than the state of Florida. The big question is, when it makes this projected turn, is it going to make it into South Florida and north, or is it going to go right up the coast and then take a direct aim at the Carolinas. So it's just the angle of approach there is just dramatically close. It's the same thing we were looking at as we looked here last week. High pressure to the north is driving it due west. We have a dip in the jet stream coming along here that we're counting on to pick it up and pull it north. When is the hurricane going to meet that dip? That's what we're just not sure about here tonight in Miami.
Underscoring that all the way from Miami far north is under a hurricane warning. Want to make clear that our viewers understand. Is it possible, is it still in the realm of, yes, not only possible, perhaps probable that the Carolinas will be hit possibly as high as, what, Charleston?
Oh, that's very possible. In fact, it's possible this storm will affect the entire east coast of the United States in some fashion. It really depends, as you know. If it goes over land, it'll be a weaker version. If it stays over the Gulf Stream, this could be the hurricane of all times coming ashore someplace in the east.
Now, Brian, we're talking about reasonably sustained winds in the 155-mile-an-hour category. That would mean possibly winds in gusts above that to what?
200 miles an hour. In Hurricane
200
Andrew,
miles an hour.
In Hurricane Andrew, we had 145-mile-an-hour winds sustained here in Miami, and the gusts pretty much confirmed in the 200-mile-an-hour range. So that is not at all out of the question.
Brian Norcross, thanks. In the exposed and vulnerable Bahamas, in line for a major hurricane hit as soon as tonight, homes and businesses were being boarded up and abandoned, and residents were warned that 20-foot storm surges, what used to be called tidal waves, could slam as far as 6 miles inland. That is an especially serious prospect because some of the islands are only 7 miles wide. With this hurricane edging toward an extremely rare maximum Category 5 status, note for comparison that Hurricane Andrew was Category 4 when it devastated South Florida in 1992. Andrew's hurricane force winds extended just 25 to 30 miles from the hurricane's eye. Massive Hurricane Floyd is now 600 miles across with hurricane force winds, at least 125 miles from its center. Floyd's tropical storm force winds extend out more than 250 miles. Now, to give this added context, keep in mind that the threat from Floyd is especially real tonight to those who lived through killer Hurricane Andrew. CBS's Jim Axelrod reports.
Tonight, Miami is the land of lions. The hours left to gas up and stock up are dwindling in South Florida. Here, they know the drill. The boarding, the bagging, and the buying of all they need when a hurricane bears down.
We're anticipating a heavy storm, no joke.
They should know it. Hardly a year goes by without a late summer threat. But even experienced hurricane watchers haven't seen one like Floyd in quite a while.
This is a very serious storm. It may be the worst storm that we've had in many years.
7 years to be exact, since Hurricane Andrew crushed the Miami area. In South Florida, Andrew is still the standard all other storms are measured against.
Andrew's wake-up call started as early as 3 o'clock this morning.
Andrew's 150-mile-an-hour winds did $25 billion of damage. 26 were killed. 160,000 left homeless. Scary? Get this. Andrew was a midget compared to what may be coming.
We all remember Hurricane Andrew and the damage it caused to South Florida in 1992. Hurricane Floyd is almost 3 times the physical size of Andrew, 3 times.
If this hurricane strengthens ever so slightly into a Category 5 storm, and if it comes ashore, Floyd will make history. Only twice in the last 100 years has a Category 5 hurricane hit the mainland U.S. In South Florida tonight, they're not asking if, they're asking when. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, Miami.
NASA used its newest high-tech satellite to beam down this 3D image of huge Hurricane Floyd today. The images in red are the intense bands of torrential rains capable of dumping 2 inches or more per hour. On the ground, NASA may be in for a much closer and damaging look at Floyd. The Kennedy Space Center, home port for the Space Shuttle program, is in Floyd's line of fire. CBS's Byron Pitts is there.
Tonight along the Central Florida coastline, there is plenty at stake, and all of it's personal. From family property to a region's pride, not to mention its biggest employers. Locals affectionately call this the Space Coast. And for the first time in years, the Kennedy Space Center will be shut down completely tonight